So, have you ever heard of a firm called Consciously Exposed? They're based in Boston, and they've got this really fresh take on what it means to grow a business. Let's jump right in and see what makes them tick.
Okay, so if you're an entrepreneur, does this sound familiar? That feeling of being, stuck. You've hit a wall, and you're trying to figure out how to scale. It's a super common problem, right? But the solution we're going to look at today, it's anything but common.
And here's where it gets interesting. This isn't just another consulting firm. They call it a movement. Now that's a pretty big claim, isn't it? So what does that even mean? Let's unpack that.
All right, here's the game plan. First, we'll tackle that whole consultancy or movement thing. Then, we'll get into the real meat of it, their three-pillar framework. That's the artistic, the psychological, and the cultural pillars. And finally, we'll see how all this theory actually plays out in the real world.
Okay, section 1. A consultancy or a movement? I mean, how can one company be both? Well, for Consciously Exposed, it's all about building bridges, connecting people and ideas in a way that goes way beyond just crunching the numbers.
And this really gets to the heart of it. They define themselves as a movement that's all about empowering entrepreneurs and their communities. And they do it by using culture, strategy, and global collaboration. See, this is already so different from your typical business consultant talk. It's about connection, it's about support, and that really sets the stage for everything else.
So, you might be wondering, how do they actually pull this off? What's the secret sauce? Well, the engine behind this whole movement is something they call the three-pillar framework. Let's break down how these pieces fit together. Yep, it's called the APC model. APC stands for artistic, psychological, and cultural. This is the key takeaway here. We're not just talking about market data and spreadsheets. This is a strategy that's built on a deep, human-centered understanding of how business and people really work. All right, let's dive into that first pillar, the artistic. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Artistic? Poetry? What does that have to do with my bottom line? Well, that's exactly the connection they're making, and it's pretty fascinating. So what do they mean by artistic? It's about embracing things like poetry, creativity, and just pure innovation. Think of it like this. It's a way to get out of that rigid, this is how we've always done it mindset. It's about using storytelling to build your brand, or maybe a powerful metaphor to explain a really complex product. It's creative problem solving. And this is so important. This isn't just about being creative for the sake of it. The end goal is crystal clear. Use that creativity to actually drive profits, and, just as crucial, to make sure that growth is sustainable for the long haul. Okay, moving on to pillar number 2. The psychological. This is where we get into the human side of things. Not just your customer, but you, the business owner, too. This pillar is all about things like self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and yes, mental health. And the idea behind it is actually pretty straightforward. A great business needs more than just a great product. It needs founders and teams who are resilient, who understand themselves, and who are mentally tough enough for the journey. And when you apply these psychological insights, the results can be huge. You start to understand your customers on a way deeper level. As an entrepreneur, you build that resilient mindset you need to push through those tough spots. And the whole company starts to recognize that business is, at its core, a human endeavor. And that brings us to our third and final pillar, the cultural. You know, in the world we live in today, so connected, so global, this one might be the most important piece of the puzzle. So the cultural pillar is all about getting a handle on different cultural dynamics and really truly embracing diversity. We're not just talking about tolerance here. We're talking about genuine understanding and competence, knowing how to navigate different cultural landscapes. And here's where it all comes together. The goal here is to supercharge your business model for a global audience, to support communities that might be overlooked, and to weave cultural awareness right into the fabric of your leadership. Think about it. Your creative marketing, that's the artistic pillar, is way more powerful when it's based on a deep psychological understanding of your audience. And both of those are unstoppable when you have the cultural know-how to take that message worldwide. Okay, so we've walked through the theory, right? The whole APC model. But the big question is, does it actually work? Let's take a look at the real-world impact. You know, the proof is always in the pudding. And Consciously Exposed can point to a whole list of happy clients and community partners who've seen for themselves how this unique approach really works. And here's a great example. This is a quote from Rosa Galvey at Rise North Capital. She says, Leonard Tshitenge's expertise was instrumental in our Africa market entry presentation. His deep understanding of business and investment opportunities is unmatched.
I mean, that's a perfect case study of that cultural pillar delivering huge, tangible results when the stakes are high.
So if any of this is sparking an idea for you or your business, they're based right in Boston. Here's all their contact info. You can reach out, book a consultation, and really see how this APC model could be a game changer for you.
And that brings us to our final thought. We want to leave you with this question. Is your business model really built to thrive in today's global market? Imagine what you could achieve by weaving together artistic innovation, psychological depth, and cultural intelligence. Could you build a business that's not just more profitable, but more aware, more resilient, and truly ready for the world stage? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.